Hello. Who eventually turned up? Yes, you. The one scrolling in the morning. I'm seeking for something genuine. Looking for evidence. You are not losing your mind. You're looking for assurance that your feelings aren't irrational. So buckle up. Because what I'm about to tell you will change your perception of who is really in your corner, despite your belief that you are alone, unnoticed, and uncared for. Someone has been moving for you the whole time. Silent, sharp and unrelenting, like a shadow with a switchblade and a prayer. This presence has been functioning at a regular frequency. You cannot discover how to handle your difficulties before you acknowledge them. Loving you so passionately and recklessly that they've been demolishing your adversaries piece by piece without your knowledge. That's the thing about true protection. It makes no attempt to proclaim itself. It does not need applause. It does not boast online. It just moves and the corpses drop. Not actual bodies. I'm referring about the breakdown of people's confidence, plans, capacity to sleep, peace of mind, and bodies. I realize it sounds ridiculous, like a conspiracy or cult recruiting spiel, yet stick with me because you felt it. That rapid change in energy when someone is hunting for you faded when a hater had their own catastrophe. That unexpected turn in which someone conspiring against you suddenly loses their footing, confidence, and authority. What did you call it? Coincidence, karma, or luck? It was not. Someone was moving chess pieces on an invisible board. Someone who has resolved that anybody who attempts to harm you, undermine you, or dull your light will have a very awful time. And they've kept that commitment every day. You were too busy surviving, mending, and becoming the person you were destined to be. Meanwhile, they've been clearing the way ahead of you like a spiritual snowplow, erasing impediments you'll never know existed. Let me paint the picture because this is where things get wild. That individual is speaking behind your back, spreading falsehoods and contaminating rooms before you enter them. Yeah. Notice how their own secrets began to leak out. People began to see through their masks, and the same tactics they used against you backfired, catching them in the throat. You thought it was justice or cosmic balance, but it was actually intervention. That was someone who adores you pulling strings. You cannot see the buttons being pressed. You are unable to make calls in dimensions that you cannot pronounce. Because this is the truth. When someone truly loves you, not the shallow performative Instagram version, but the ancient soul-level, logic-defying love that borders on spiritual warfare. They do not watch you suffer. They do not simply offer thoughts and prayers. They become the storm. They become the reckoning force that your adversaries have nightmares about. They do it without asking, knowing, or needing recognition. Do you want to know why that poisonous individual quit bothering you? It was not boredom. It was because someone made it very apparent that every action produces a response. And the response headed their way was going to seem biblical. You want to know why? And chance that appeared unattainable suddenly split open like it was always intended for you. That wasn't luck. That was someone moving imaginary mountains, pulling down walls you didn't even realize were obstructing you, building pathways that shouldn't logically exist. And you want to know why you're still standing, when by all logic you should have collapsed. It's because someone has been holding you upright in ways that defy physics, logic, and the laws of nature. They act because they can't not act because their love for you is too fierce, too consuming, too overwhelming to let them sit still while you suffer. So they relocate. When they move, they do so forcefully and without mercy. And those who attempted to break you now find themselves cracking instead. They can never properly explain it. They simply feel the shift. One day you were the target, the next they were. This is where things get serious. This protector is a quiet warrior. Clearing your path is not done because they believe you are fragile or incapable. They are doing this because they recognize your potential. They glimpse your fate. They see the person you're becoming. And they will not allow anyone to interfere with that evolution. You're losing old versions of yourself. Upgrading, climbing, too busy, leveling up to squander energy, combating emotional insects. So they take care of it. They swap the distractions, clear the noise, study the shadows, and eliminate every hazard before you even foot into the room. That is love. That is protection. That is devotion in its rawest form. It's not represented in greeting cards or attractive quips. It shows up in the way your opponents suddenly lose confidence, lose control, lose sleep, lose their grasp on whatever power they believed they had. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Think back over the previous year. The last 2. The last 5. How many instances that should have ruined you just disbanded? How many folks heading for you suddenly got smacked with their own chaos? How many inconceivable possibilities played themselves out in ways you still can't explain? You credited resilience, you attributed luck, you credited strength. And yes, you are strong. You are resilient. However, there has been a force multiplier operating behind the scenes. A cosmic backup system was causing interference as you moved along. They do not desire applause. They do not need appreciation. They just require you to arrive at your intended location. And they will burn down huge woods to clear the way. You won't smell the smoke since the ashes and debris have been cleaned by the time you arrive, leaving just an open road. Consider the person who deceived you, who smiled at you while sharpening the knife, and who seemed to be faithful while conspiring behind your back. Yeah. Whatever happened to them? Really? Nor the version you dismissed, nor the nice explanation. You told yourself not to seem petty. I'm referring about the real consequences after they crossed you, since if you think about it for more than a few seconds, you'll see that their life did not just stagnate. It deteriorated from the inside out. Things did not just go bad. They unfolded with a level of precision that seemed choreographed. Their connections splintered. People's faith in them disappeared. Their prospects had dried up like a riverbed in the heat. Their reputation suffered blows that knocked the wind out of whatever veneer they'd constructed. Their mental stability deteriorated, their confidence shattered, and the mask they proudly wore started to unravel in front of everyone. You persuaded yourself it was karma. You convinced yourself that the universe was just balancing the balances. But deep down you knew it wasn't random. It was not sluggish, passive, or hands-off. It was crisp. It was purposeful. Because although karma takes time, genuine, protecting love is quick. And when someone loves you as much as your invisible protector does, karma doesn't come in as a nice lesson. It becomes militarized. It becomes a tactical strike. It attacks with precision, speed, and a cosmic accuracy that your foes never expected. They were not unfortunate. They were outmatched. And this power in your life isn't only concerned with adversaries. That would be too straightforward. They're also erasing roadblocks, nudging destiny, and altering whole time frames to match with your progress. Think about the doors that were slammed in your face for months, if not years. They swung open unexpectedly as if they had been waiting for you all along. Consider the seemingly impossible circumstances, the impassable hurdles, and the times that should have destroyed you. Instead, they disintegrated. Resources arrived when you should have ran out. Money, relationships, and support solutions. They appeared at just the right times. You thought you were fortunate. You believed you were just working harder. But someone has been working behind the scenes, making movements you didn't start and knocking on doors you didn't know existed. Creating possibilities that were not even viable until they became so. And they do it because your achievement is not a question for them. It is a mission. Your happiness is not a wish. It is an obsession. Every day they care to that goal as if it were a hallowed temple, doing activities and making sacrifices you will never hear about. You do not have permission to engage dimensions-based combat. The strangest aspect is that your foes have no idea who they are fighting. They believe they are battling you. They are not. They are swinging at shadows. They only experience the repercussions. The sudden anxiousness, the unexpected setbacks, the strange series of failures that struck them like a domino effect. They don't see the hands steering the chain reaction. They just know they can't breathe, can't think clearly. They can't move against you because something will blow up in their face. Because this is the truth. Every time someone plots against you, wishes you harm, or even casually believes they can dull your light to shine their own, the world responds immediately. Not later, not someday. Something changes immediately, the energy recalibrates the scales, restoring balance, and your quiet defender is the one who initiates it. They are the ones whispering, not this one. They're the ones triggering protections you've never seen, making interstellar phone calls, and pulling strings for individuals you'll never meet. Energies you'll never comprehend. You would never have had access to these chances on your own. And while your adversary believes they are firing clean rounds at you, they suddenly find themselves sinking slowly at first, then swiftly into quicksand. Plans go apart. Conversations that were formerly beneficial to them now act against them. People stop listening. Doors begin shutting. They become lost in their own labyrinth, creating, rushing, and panicking, wondering why everything they touch crumbles. And the solution is painfully simple. They touched, protected, and loved someone so deeply that the cosmos bends around them like armor. You want proof? Look at yourself now. Not the sanitized, nice summary you offer others. Really? How are you still standing after all you've been through? How are you still sane? After the betrayals, heartbreaks, losses, and disappointments, we spent the evenings silently splitting apart where no one could see. You've been through experiences that would have reduced other individuals to dust. Yet you are conscious, away, growing, mending, and rebuilding. That is not typical. That is not common. That is not something you can simply push through. Your strength is genuine. Your resilience is genuine. But this isn't the complete tale. You've never faced this alone. Someone has always had your back. Someone in the shadows, in the forgotten regions, in the spiritual trenches, catching you when you fall, elevating you when you feel empty, and pouring new life into you when you did not want to keep going. They don't do it because they're required to. They're not doing it out of sympathy for you. They do it because loving you isn't a choice. It is instinct. It's imprinted on their soul. It's why they exist. Anyone who threatens that link becomes the public enemy number one in a battle they are unaware they have entered. And here's the part that nearly no one understands. True love and protection don't look like shiny fantasies in movies. It is not gentle. It isn't neat. It is not soft focus, lighting, or beautiful remarks. Real love is primitive. It is ancient. It is territorial. It's the kind of dedication that isn't satisfied with seeing you suffer. It intervenes. It is disruptive. It destroys whatever is threatening you. It clears roads using fire and force. It moves mountains. However, it also topples them onto the folks who attempted to bury you. It does not always provide you comfort. Sometimes it fights for you. It sometimes goes to battle on your behalf. Sometimes it rips apart what you thought you needed to make way for what you really deserve. And that type of protection, that unwavering commitment, is why you're still here. Still whole, still growing into something bigger than whatever you've been through. And most people will never comprehend that type of love because they have never had it. But you did. And that is why nothing and no one has been able to get you out. Real protection is not the Hollywood dream that many believe it is. It does not seem like someone is jumping in front of a bullet in dramatic slow motion. There is no uplifting music, no spotlight, and no heroic narrative. It does not resemble dramatic confrontations or great public vows of allegiance. Real protection is subtle. It is silent. It's almost unnoticeable. So invisible that from the outside, it seems like nothing is occurring. There seems to be no sound. It seems to indicate distance. There seems to be no movement. So peaceful. You may even view it as a void. But beyond the tranquility, beneath the false, attractive, placid veneer, a battle is happening. Not a symbolic battle, but a tactical, merciless, and unrelenting war. One you never witness, one you are never asked to engage in, and one you only feel the effects of while going about your daily life. Your adversaries are losing fights they had no idea they were signing up for. They go about bewildered, disturbed, and shaky on footing that used to seem solid because the person who loves you, the quiet protector, the one acting in your blind spots, does not partake in human drama. They do not arrive with noise and threats. They work behind the scenes. They travel undetected. They strike like ghosts. There is no proof, traces, or fingerprints, only indisputable influence. All that remains is the aftermath. Your foes are suddenly ensnared in circumstances they cannot explain. They were positive that their plans would be successful. Collapse without a valid explanation. The opportunities they counted on slip through their fingers like water. They watch as their stability crumbles. Their confidence fades. Their meticulously crafted tactics fall to ash. And since they don't comprehend the war they've strolled in, they swirl. They lose sleep. They begin worrying over every step, seeking to find out what went wrong. They believe it's bad luck. They assume it's a coincidence. They believe they made a mistake in their calculations. However, they are attempting to utilize human reasoning to make sense of spiritual battle. They are looking for physical answers for cosmic involvement. They're literally out of their depth. Let me explain how this works, since it is more complex, cruel, and deliberate than most people know. When someone comes for you, plots, plans, and uses your name maliciously, the one who loves you does not rush in like a hero in a cheap action picture. They do not meet your opponent face to face. They do not argue. They do not warn. They make absolutely no announcement of their arrival. They observe. They evaluate. They enable the opponent to unveil themselves completely. They strike when the time is ideal, when the opportunity is right, and when the action will have the most effect. And the strike is always perfect, accurate, and deadly. Sometimes all it takes is a whisper in the right ear to alter everything. Sometimes the truth emerges just when your adversary is most weak. Occasionally it's an opportunity they were looking forward to that vanishes, and occasionally it's a relationship. They relied on cracks which revealed their vulnerabilities. Their confidence is not always intact. Their clarity dissolves to chaos. Their assurance fades, and they are suddenly unable to identify left from right. Whatever shape it takes, it eliminates the danger. It eliminates the risk before it reaches you. It clears a road you didn't even realize was blocked. The most astounding element is that you never see any of it. You go about your life feeling as if you've miraculously avoided yet another hidden gunshot. Another storm passed without affecting you. Another tragedy vanished before it reached your home. You suppose you got fortunate. You're assuming you powered through. You believe that life just worked out. But you did not accomplish it alone. You had a guardian, a protector who loved you so fiercely, instinctively, and unwaveringly that when someone threatened you, that person became their goal. Your opponents will become their foes. Your fights will become their battleground. And they do it without fanfare, without acknowledgement, and without requiring you to know a single detail. And here's what makes it even more potent. They don't do it out of gratitude. They do not do it so you'll prostrate at their feet, adore them, or express how much they mean to you. They do not seek emotional payback. They do not want you to be indebted to them. They don't want you to know they exist, and being invisible keeps you safe. They do none of this for ego. They do this because they care about your well-being. They find serenity in knowing you're secure. Their reward is to see you flourish. They are happy to see you triumph. Protecting you is as natural to them as breathing is for you. They walk silently because it is safer. They work in the shadows because it is strategic. They work behind the scenes. Power exists behind the scenes. And as they vacate the battlefield, you gather your triumphs. You understand the progression. You get the opportunities, benefits, and breakthroughs. You have a life that should have been derailed many times but wasn't because someone else diverted the turmoil before it reached you. You got the life. They accept the conflict and are quite okay with it since they have never fought for themselves. They fought for you. They are doing all of this for you. Most it is the purest, rarest, most unadulterated kind of love that exists. A kind of love that does not need a limelight, acclaim, acknowledgement, or validation. A love that does not need to be observed to be genuine. A love that does not seek thanks or praise since its sole goal is your safety, development, tranquility, and transformation into the person you were always destined to be. This love works softly, carefully, and without hesitation, stepping in only when required, protecting you from dangers you never saw coming, eliminating threats you never noticed were building, and clearing routes you had no idea were blocked. Anyone who seeks to stymie that metamorphosis, to hinder your development, dull your light, sabotage your progress, or poison your future, becomes a problem that is dealt with discreetly, effectively, and, if necessary, permanently without sound or show. What's incredible is that every single individual who has ever attempted to break you, betray you, or undermine you is sitting someplace right now, confused and frantically trying to figure out why they were once promising. Life started going apart. Why did doors that had previously opened for them suddenly slam shut? Why did their momentum die? Why opportunity has disappeared? Why their relationships crumbled? Why did their trust evaporate? And why does nothing they touch seem to work anymore? They invent themselves tales, make excuses, blame situations, people, and timing. But deep inside, in those quiet times of honesty, They knew something cracked the instant they crossed you. Some of them are troubled enough to murmur your name when they are alone, as if you have cursed them. I wonder whether you are more powerful than they think. I'm wondering whether you notice anything after them. However, the reality is nearly ironic. You did not curse anybody. You did not call for vengeance. You didn't even think about them long enough to create spiritual harm, since you were too preoccupied with keeping your own mind intact. They were too busy repairing wounds they had never seen. Too busy reconstructing yourself from the ashes. Too busy being a stronger person. Someone else was paying attention while you were focused on survival and self-restoration. Someone else was observing every intention aimed at you. Every plan, insult, and treachery. Someone else was ensuring that those who attempted to hurt you understood in ways they could never trace back. Actions have repercussions. And the result of harming you is a gradual, deliberate, almost artistic destruction of what they believed was stable. Every advantage they felt they had, every illusion of dominance. They depended on every illusion of authority they could muster. That is what people don't understand about actual protection. It does not appear with a scream. It doesn't brag. It does not shout for attention. It manifests as abrupt havoc in your enemy's life. The inability to concentrate. A series of missteps that lost them everything. The unexpected loss of assistance from those they relied on. The feeling of solitude and vulnerability. They can't escape the feeling that something is watching them, even though they can't see anything. They are unable to prove what is occurring. They can't explain the change. But they can sense it. They can feel the strain pressing around them. The unseen hand rests on their breast. The feeling of being judged and found wanting. And that pressure, that immovable gravity that haunts them, is the same love that surrounds you, the safety that covers you like armor, the invisible force that assures anybody who tries to harm you ends up hurting themselves instead. Because when someone like you is protected to that extent, the cosmos itself becomes your shield. It occurs every time without fail, hesitation, uncertainty, or compassion. Because the person who loves you on that level does not believe in giving second chances to those who endanger your safety. Does not believe in forgiveness for those who intentionally try to harm you, and does not spare anybody who seeks to derail your purpose, obstruct your blessings, or interfere with the destiny that was written for you long before you realized how powerful you are. Naturally, this leads to the question that you can no longer avoid. Who is this individual? That is this protector that moves through your life as an invisible shield? That is the quiet warrior that fights your wars while you sleep? When you are unaware. When you're too overwhelmed or fatigued to notice what's going behind the scenes. And here is where things get a lot more intriguing than you would imagine. Because the solution isn't easy, predictable, or clear. It's not about who you see. People that leave comments on your blogs proclaim themselves pals, but then vanish when life gets in the way. It is not about those who demonstrate devotion in public but fail to turn up when it is most important. True protection is not loud, true love is not in need of affirmation, and real devotion does not need an audience, a limelight, or an Instagram clip to demonstrate its presence. It moves softly. It moves carefully. It moves with meaning, purpose, and unyielding constancy, qualities that most individuals in your life have never shown. And when you slow down long enough to see the patterns, when you look at the chronology of your life, at the miraculous escapes, the unexpected redirections, and the way danger has repeatedly missed you by inches, you begin to realize what you had previously ignored. You start to understand it wasn't luck. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't just luck beaming on you. You'll begin to feel it in your chest, like a constant presence that is steady, patient, and unshakable. You'll feel it in your bones that someone has been standing behind you the whole time, holding the line while everyone else went away fighting for you, when you had no idea you needed to be defended. Believing in yourself while those you trusted questioned, dismissed, or underestimated you. You'll understand that, although some individuals profess to be on your side, this force has operated on your behalf with more strength, accuracy, and love than most humans can muster. What makes this even more powerful, humbling, and amazing is that they aren't doing it for your approval. They do not do it for recognition. They do not do it for credit, affirmation, or emotional reward. They do not even need your awareness. Their commitment is so deep, so essential, and so ingrained in who they are that they have no option but to defend you. It's a reflex, a calling and instinct that comes as naturally to them as breathing does for you. They perform without expecting gratitude. They act without seeking acknowledgement. They battle without requiring praise. And when you eventually realize that this guardian has been with you through the betrayals, heartbreaks, losses, and every time when you should have come apart but didn't, you'll know how guarded you've always been. You'll realize that your survival was not accidental. Your perseverance was just part of the narrative. Your progress was not exclusively your own doing. There has been someone, something, or some force, silent, unwavering, waging wars you never saw, preventing unexpected calamities and protecting you from adversaries. You didn't see the cleared pathways until you made your first step. And the moment you realize that truth, your entire understanding of loyalty, protection, and love will change forever. That there has been a force of presence, a powerful and devoted affection, acting on your behalf while you were unaware you were in danger. Everything within you starts to alter. It is not a little change, a passing notion, or a momentary emotional flare. It's a profound structural life-resetting alteration. It alters the way your spirit rests inside your flesh. You see your posture improving, your chin elevating, your judgments becoming clearer, and your confidence solidifying in ways you didn't realize were possible. You're suddenly conscious of your own value, and your former self seems nearly unrecognizable. You move differently, not arrogantly, but with unwavering groundedness. You talk with power that does not need loudness to be heard. You can make clear decisions since uncertainty no longer clings to you. You start carrying yourself like someone who understands they are not wandering through life unprotected, unsupported, or unclaimed. You are not merely protected. You are not picked at random, but purposely, deliberately concealed, deliberately led. You are not just insulated. You are anointed, marked with a spiritual power that others can perceive but cannot describe. You're not just fortunate. You've been appointed, positioned with purpose by forces operating in places you can't see. When that recognition becomes a part of you, your whole presence shifts. You go into rooms like you belong there. You approach your objectives with confidence. You react to pressure without bending. You cease shrinking in order to make others feel comfortable. You stop apologizing for taking up the place you were born to fill. You cease asking for approval from individuals who are unable to grasp your purpose. You cease internalizing the doubts that others have placed onto you. Your internal wiring changes when you realize you're not navigating the world alone. You have backing that is not just emotional but also spiritual, attic cosmic. You have a presence behind you that travels quicker than dangers, sees further than foes, and intervenes before danger ever reaches your consciousness. And that knowing, that assurance, that unshakable feeling of safety transforms you into something others are unable to cope with. It makes you brave and daring. It makes you very tough to intimidate. You become the kind of person who faces storms with calm eyes, who goes through flames without fear, who encounters impediments that shatter before they even reach you. People begin to wonder why you remain so calm in the midst of turmoil, why you're so fixated on fighting, why you're so difficult to shake, and why things that ruin others leave no mark on you. The reality is simple. You're not battling alone. The universe bends around you. You are aware that you have a force that is clearing the route, absorbing arrows, preventing punches, and rerouting every assault intended to shatter you. Now comes the bit that most people don't grasp. This degree of protection does not weaken you. It does not make you soft. It does not make you reliant. It does not reduce your strength or ability to fight your own conflicts. Actually, it accomplishes the reverse. It increases your strength. It hones your intuition. It relieves your thoughts of unwarranted dread. So you can think clearly, make decisions, and develop without continuously glancing over your shoulder. It enables you to concentrate on your mission rather than waste energy battling inconsequential, small-minded individuals whose only strength comes from distraction. It eliminates noise from your path, allowing you to walk with purpose. It removes the interference so your energy is not depleted by unnecessary fighting. It permits you to progress more quickly since you are no longer forced to deal with impediments that were never supposed to be there. The first spot. Your bodyguard does not fight instead of you. They battle around you, both ahead of and behind you. They strengthen your steps so that when you fight, your punches fall precisely. They eliminate risks that aren't worth your attention, allowing you to concentrate on the difficulties that will form your future. They manage the darkness behind you, allowing you to look ahead without trepidation. They help you in ways you couldn't do for yourself because their perspective is higher, broader, older, and wiser than yours. And after you've completely internalized that fact, you'll be able to move with transforming confidence. You become someone who no longer doubts their direction or their value. Someone who no longer fears what is ahead. Because you have now realized that what surrounds you is much more powerful than anything that could possibly come against you. You begin to live with a sense of spiritual authority, a peaceful power, an inner fire that cannot be extinguished since it did not originate from other people. It came from protection you didn't realize you had. And from that moment on, you no longer walk as if everything would work out. You stroll as if you already know what will happen. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Please help me trust you, even when tangible proof is scarce. Let me believe in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I realize that your intentions for me are ones of success rather than harm, in order to provide me with a bright future. Thank you, kind and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I give this prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Jesus, thank you for your love and provision. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your trip and how you're getting ready for your own victorious homecoming. If you would want to help us out, please consider donating via Buy Me a Coffee. This allows us to consistently improve our content in order to provide you with the best possible experience. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No present is too tiny. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity spreads God's message and gives people hope. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for amazing insights into the indicators that indicate you are the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. Enlightened knowledge bestows blessings to all lovely individuals.